Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the Changing the Narrative podcast. I'm your co-host, Dr. Gabriel Warren, along with Carl Benson. And tonight we have a special guest, Mike Watson. Mike, thanks for joining the show, man. We're excited to have you.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here, brothers. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, I know I'm excited to have this conversation with you because, we were talking a little bit offline before we started recording about how both you and I have, known each other for some years now in different professions and things. And now we're coming back full circle. So I'd like for you to kind of share a little bit with the listeners about what it is you're doing now and a little bit about your background.
Thank you, Gabe. So, Gabe and I met. Gabe has probably been over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, and I was first fresh to Birmingham, Alabama. We worked at Verizon Wireless together, selling cell phones. And it's just funny how, just going through that experience of being in that industry, learning about people, learning how to communicate with people, because you come to a cell phone store, you come to talk about a cell phone and you got to make a conversation. So, it was interesting how just those foundational tools got me to where I am today. Then I transitioned to the banking world. I was working for one of the most prestigious banks here in America as a personal banker for a while. And then I was promoted to be a financial advisor within that bank. So it was great times there, really learned a lot. But going to the changing of the narrative theme, working in the bank, I was seeing some things I didn't particularly like when it came to certain predatory lending practices, preying on the financially illiterate, if you will. Didn't really give you an opportunity to really educate people in the bank, like how I knew the culture and what I knew that the culture needed. So I decided to leave that world and come and partner with Northwestern Mutual and build Watson Wealth Management. And it's been a very good ride. Overall, I'll say I've been in the financial industry for a little over a decade after leaving Verizon. And, we've been able to accomplish a lot of great things. We've been able to become one of the top 40 under 40 advisory practices in the state of Georgia, consecutively year over year. We've won multiple national awards. We've helped our clients invest, a great amount of money into the market for generational wealth. And then we've also gotten a ton of different types of insurances, whether it's life insurance, disability insurance, or long-term care insurance, overall risk management in place for a lot of the culture. And it's something that I enjoy. It's a part of my mission, which is to, and Gabe, you actually have it in there. My mission is to be a financial educator. I want to change the narrative around wealth accumulation, particularly Black wealth, and help 1,000 families achieve a 7-figure net worth and generational wealth. That's something that's very important to me. And being in the line of work that I'm in right now, it gives me the opportunity to do that.
Awesome.
That's great to hear. I mean, before you came on, while we were waiting, we were talking about financial literacy. It's something that we're looking to do or sort of build into some of the programming that we're working on here in Minneapolis. So it's good to hear that. How important do you see that as not necessarily the industry or the banking industry or financial industry, but as a Black man in that career field? How do you see the importance of that as you go back and sort of work with folks with the financial literacy piece as well as wealth building and generational wealth building?
That's a very great question. I see the importance of it by seeing what the lack of the financial education is doing to the culture. I see that working within our culture and then other cultures, the variance of the gap of net worth between a Black household and another culture's household. I was in church today, and the pastor said that the average net worth of a Black family is $17,000. And the average net worth of our counterparts is about 117,000. So that's a 10 times, that's a 10 times difference, $100,000 more on average. Now, we have our Jay-Z's and our Oprah Winfrey's, but we also got way on the other side too. And so in order to bridge that gap, it's got to be somebody out there that has the knowledge and willing to kick it back down for the culture, for the next generation to be able to start off where we left off. It's so important that first generation wealth is in place now for the third generation, not just the second generation, but for the third generation. The Bible teaches us that we got to be planning for our grandchildren as first generation wealth. So that's how important it is.
Okay. Fantastic.
Man, that's a pretty staggering stat, man. And it's one that's gonna stick with me for sure. So now I know
it's about, going back to the education piece, it's about understanding what your assets are and your liabilities. Understanding that having a house is an asset, right? And buying what we're marketed to buy, which are expensive cars and depreciating assets like that, those are liabilities. And so, just knowing that from a financial education piece will start to change your mindset on, hey, should I be going out here and buying these liabilities, going and buying something that's not going to be worth what I bought it for 2 years from now, or go ahead and take my time and being patient and investing in something that's going to appreciate over the years. And that's how, once you start to understand what the net worth is, now you start to understand how to fix it and close that wealth gap.
Right. That's good. Yeah. So I'm sure it sounds like that's a pretty big motivating factor for you to be in this industry. Are there other things that motivate you? Of course, that's probably the biggest, what you just kind of shared with us. But are there other things that kind of keeps you going and keeps you wanting to move forward in this industry?
Yeah, I would just say, just never forgetting where I came from. Gabe, back when we first met, I wasn't the man that's sitting. I was this man right here. I had a lot to learn. I was very young and very immature, and I was the guy who was going out there and buying the liabilities. I was the guy going out there and wasn't interested in saving $25 a month for my future.
Yeah,
I was more interested in spending it, and so I look at the progress I could have made over these over this decade or so, began back from when we first met, and where I am now, and seeing the other cultures where they are now at our age.
Yeah,
because they started when I was the age when me and you first met, Gabe.
Yeah,
and they made the right decisions. Why? Because they had someone to guide them. Yeah. They have someone that looked like them that can guide them down the right path. And we didn't have that back when I was that age. And maybe we did, but I didn't have access to it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's definitely that's a big motivating factor.
If you sort of carry that out a little bit deeper, I guess, how do you see like the portrayals of Black masculinity in media, social media, television, contributing to that? The general misconception of, buying those liabilities versus buying assets. How do you see the media's role in Black masculinity in that?
I see it as the way that is meant to be seen, brother. Is meant to be seen by the masses that is what the Black male is supposed to do. If you want to be a masculine Black male, here's the characteristics that you should have to appeal to the masses. We think about the negative stereotypes that they have about us, that we see ourselves on the news every day for all the bad things. And so to counter that, the world has taught us that the good part of being Black is that you wear the nice shoes and you wear the nice chains and you drive the nice cars. That's the great part about being Black. but unfortunately, that part of being Black is what's continuing to make the net worth gap so large.
Right.
I've always said that I feel like we are systematically marketed to spend our money in the wrong ways. You listen to rap music, I don't hear any other culture say blowing money fast, praising it. I don't hear any other culture saying I'm gonna spend it all now because I can't take it with me when I die. I see that the portrayal of the masculine Black man is the man of struggle who came from the bottom, started with nothing. I don't see the Carltons. You know, back when we watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Carlton was teased.
Yeah.
You know, he was teased for being to come from a family of wealth. So you know, even back then, you take a look at the market, and it never was good for us. And what was praised was Will Smith coming from the ghetto,
Yeah.
and then moving to Bel Air. And so until the narrative around what we see what a Black male can be outside of the struggle, then you know we'll maybe start to see some change. And to go back to the question that you asked, Gabe, that's why it's so important to me to take the time to make sure that I got on something nice before we hop on this call. You know what I mean? Like, that's important. That's important.
Right. Awesome.
Appreciate that.
So Mike, so you mentioned it earlier in one of your answers about your mission. One of your goals is to help 1,000 families accumulate a 7-figure net worth. Could you share a little bit more about like why that's important to you and how did that mission come about?
I was working with a mentor of mine named Keith Milner, very, very great man. Really helped me when I first got into the industry on how to change my mindset of how to conduct myself as a professional Black man. And we worked on my mission. He just asked me, Mike, you got to think big. You got to think big, and you got to think a way that you've never been able to think before. And my time being in that bank, seeing how I had to disseminate information to our culture versus giving it to another culture, and the level of understanding that another culture had about doing the right things with their money, and the results of the amount of money that they had in that bank and what their net worth was at a certain age compared to when I would see people in our culture that's older and net worth is just, you know, what I mentioned earlier. And it really made me feel some way right here. And so that's where the mission came and the vision came, like, you know, well, what if we can change the narrative, the mindset of our culture into knowing how to invest in themselves first and build up a large net worth so that we won't be in that situation. And imagine if just me alone can touch 1,000 people and then somebody else can touch 1,000 and so on and so forth. That means that over the years, that net worth, that gap that I mentioned, it will start to decrease. Now, it may take 10, 20 years, who knows? But just one step at a time, one person at a time, you know, if I take it that way and keep that mindset, I get to 1,000 people, man, that's 1,000 families and 1,000 lives that could have been touched, and you know, 1,000 mindsets that could have been shifted. So, you know, I can go on for days about that.
Wow.
Do you have this is a random question, but do you know where you're at in that 1,000 families?
I don't.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I gotta keep running time with that, but you know, I got a long way to go. I got a long way to go.
That's all right. We appreciate you doing it. What if you could, I guess, if you could just wave the magic wand, what one misconception of our society about being a Black man would you just get rid of? Like, what is that misconception that you know is out there that if you could just wave your wand and get rid of and eradicate, what would that be?
Yeah, that we're all, thugs and murderers and hoodlums.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I would do right there. If I would, I've actually done this before. I've
Mm.
asked somebody from a different culture. I said, close your eyes. And I said, I'm gonna say some words here. And then, at the end, I'm gonna ask you a question. So I said that. Just close your eyes, murderer, hoodlum, thug. I used some other choice words that we're not gonna say here. And I said, open your eyes, and I said, what face did you see when I did that? And then I
Wow.
said, what what color was that face? And it's always
Mm.
black.
Mm.
It's always black. Always, right? That's our culture is associated with a lower social economic class. Um, all those things and all those things that come with it. And that's how we're marketed. Right? That's how we're seen. Um, and so I can't change that and not about myself. Um, but I can do my piece, and my piece is staying in this lane that I'm in right here. And then hopefully we get more brothers like yourself, who can penetrate the system that's in place for other lanes, and then we can all come together and
Mm.
eradicate that. So that's what I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's
Appreciate that.
awesome, man. That's awesome. So shifting gears a little bit, I know you have this goal of helping 1,000 families, Black families, build a seven-figure net worth. But aside from that, if you had to kind of put into words what success looks like from your perspective, even if it's not necessarily related to your career,
Hmm.
what would that be? So, like, what is success to you?
And success is about the family being good, and knowing that I've done my part and I've helped. I just I want to plant good seeds and bear good fruit. That's the path that I'm on right now. So I will say, Gabe, being able to eat some good fruit, whatever that looks like, whatever that looks like, down the line one of these days, that's what success for me would be. God got me.
Yeah.
Run off
Right.
100% faith.
Right. Right on. Right on. And
Mhm.
you mentioned your faith as well a little bit ago. Can you tell us a little bit more about what or how you give back to community where you're at and what that looks like, what your volunteerism look like and all?
Yeah, man, we actually just did an event today at the church,
Mm.
um, where we were, where we got, I got a t-shirt company, and we made some nice shirts called Black Wealth Matters. And so our goal for that vendor fair today was a Juneteenth vendor fair at the church today.
Okay.
Um, our goal for selling those shirts were to give it back to charity.
Mm.
Very cool.
So, that's one way. In our firm, I created the Black Empowerment Initiative, which is an affinity group.
Mm.
And, our core values are one of our core values is developing Black advisors. Another one of our core values is recruiting Black advisors, you know, so that we can have more people with the mission going out there
Right.
and help. And so we do different community service events around the city.
Mm.
Um, you know, got to pay your tithes, give back to the good Lord. Got to make sure that you're doing that.
Mm.
So, and I sit on a couple of nonprofit boards. Where I sit on Happy Mommy, Happy Meanie, which is a nonprofit board out here in Atlanta. Biggest focus is really helping single parents. Then I'm also the chair of the board for Atlanta Technical College, chair of the foundation board, which is a local school out here that has that specializes in trades, and they have a 99.99% job placement rate. And so
Okay.
helping students and then the college get funding for scholarships for that, it's a big deal. So
Okay.
like I say, just trying to just give back, brother.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Wow.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Man, so one of the cool things about this podcast, man, is that, we get the opportunity to introduce the world to people like yourself, who are changing the narrative, and doing things like some of the stuff you've talked about so far have expanded my mind a lot, but hopefully it's also done the same for the listeners. So I'm curious to know, like, from your perspective, what you think the narrative should be about what it means to be a Black man in our culture today. If you have the ability to sit down with someone and just share with them what you think it should be, what would you say to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. I would say that a Black man should feel empowered. A Black man should feel like an entire human being. A Black man should feel comfortable within his own skin. A Black man should not have to feel insecure about what he does. A Black man shouldn't have to always express anger or be shown to have to express anger to get a point across. Um, Black man should be seen as a king. That's what we're done. You know, now that's the narrative that I want, and I don't want that narrative to be attacked, because when you do express your things like that, speaking about masculinity, at times that can be attacked. But why shouldn't a Black man feel comfortable in his own skin with his own ideas, and trying to change the narrative on some of these things without being attacked. So that's what I would see as a Black man. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Tell us how we can follow you. Are you on social medias, LinkedIn? Where can we follow you in your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on LinkedIn. Michael D. Watson II is on LinkedIn. On Instagram, that's Facebook too. Same on Facebook. Instagram is Mr. Michael D. Watson. LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram is where I'm the most active. Instagram mostly, Mr. Michael D. Watson. TikTok, I don't do TikTok. I don't do TikTok and the X or the Twitter, none of that stuff. Like I said earlier, I stay in my lane. My lane is Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So you guys can find me there.
Right.
Yeah. So question for you, Mike. If someone listening to this is in a state outside of Georgia and they are interested in like connecting with you, can they work with you? Are you only working with people in the state of Georgia?
Oh, no, man. Oh, no. So, no, we licensed in all 50 states, even Wakanda. We got it. It's all good. It's all good. We got you. Yeah, this if we're gonna get 1,000 people, we got to get outside the state of Georgia.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good, man. Well, I'm sure. I'll tell you this. I'm sure that when people listen to this, you'll probably get some people hitting you up, because, I mean, to be honest with you, I know for a fact my wife and I a few years back were looking for advisors, and it's hard to find Black financial advisors, man. So, like you said, I mean, part of your mission is to help develop and recruit more of them. I think that's a noble mission, man. So it's good to know that you're doing that work.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, man, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. I know this was short, sweet, quick, but I think the conversations we've had tonight hopefully will continue to expand the minds of others and let them know that, there are Black men out here changing the narrative in so many ways. So we appreciate you for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for inviting me on the show. It's definitely a pleasure. I love the questions. I love the culture. My phone number, I think I got to drop that too. So you can reach me on my cell at 470-869-1899. That's 470-869-1899. Call or text, I answer both. Or email is michael.watson@nm.com. So like Northwestern Mutual, michael.watson@nm.com.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one.